So, it's just been over 24 hours. Over 24 hours! We're already getting BS. Paul George has just signed for the Philadelphia 76ers for a massive overpay. Yes, a massive overpay in my opinion, in my humble opinion. I don't feel like you should pay a soon-to-be 33-year-old wing 4 years, $211 million, all because the Golden State Warriors were willing to pay over the max deal. He just turned 34. That contract will be lasting as much as Kawhi Leonard's MCL. While they just maxed a well-deserved contract for a young potential star with Tyrese Maxey with $203 million, 5 years, so you pay him $7 million less. Interesting. $8 million less. Derrick Jones Jr. signed a 3-year, $30 million deal with the Los Angeles Clippers. And after that 2-year max deal, that 2-year extension player option deal for Russell Westbrook, he's already teased to be traded. Don't sell yourself short. Denver Nuggets could possibly acquire Russell Westbrook after losing Kentavious Caldwell-Pope to the Orlando Magic. That's soon to be a potential threat over in the Eastern Conference. That's been teasing at a lot of acquisitions around this offseason, including NBA champion, 4-time NBA champion Klay Thompson. They extended Jaden Hardy, being a young offensive talent over in the second unit. Alex Caruso already got $9.8 million over, fully guaranteed after getting signed and traded by the Oklahoma City Thunder after the Josh Giddey trade. While Mason Plumlee got signed over to the Phoenix Suns. Najee Marshall got a 3-year, $27 million deal. I think he last played for the New Orleans Pelicans. And now he's getting a sign and trade bonus that will last until he turns 30 years old. And he's a decent offensive spot up shooter. And I guess they didn't want to overextend over for Derrick Jones Jr. Also, Aaron Wiggins just got a 5-year, $47 million deal. That should have been something Paul George was going to get. Because you wouldn't extensify your max deal for Paul George to just be out come the second half of the season, and Joel Embiid. The Sixers are just failing this. I'm sorry. There's sign and trade over an extensive part, but we forgot how unreliable Paul George could be over in the second half of the season. And now you just sign and trade over a max deal for just a Bradley Beal if he was a wing. No disrespect to Paul George. I always love watching him play, but this is just ridiculous. On paper, that should sound good. You still got Kyle Lowry over a possible extension that's on the way. Tyrese Maxey's going to be your guard of the future. Joel Embiid is still somewhat prime. I think he's turning 30 already. But still one of the best high volume sending scorers that are second best to Nikola Jokic at the center position. With decent depth with Nick Nurse, that's a respectable coach that has an NBA title under his belt. There should be no reason why the Sixers couldn't be in the conversation on paper. But if we're looking over in track record alone, I wouldn't trust this. 4 years, $211 million for Paul George. And they extended Kelly Oubre Jr., being one of the more exceptional defensive wings in the NBA. I really wish I didn't hate this. I really hope I don't hate this. I'm not trying to say I really wouldn't want to call this buyer's remorse because I like these players. I'm a fan of Kelly Oubre. I like Kelly Oubre Jr. since Washington, and Paul George always been one of my favorite wings that I wish had more success than he actually did. But now it's 2024. And we're still extending over a max deal over the high-balling sum of the high max rate of the NBA that you could get yourself off of a 2-year extension for possible contention to a long-term fucking max deal. If it doesn't go right, you were that higher over a necessity over on a roster with less success for himself. Paul George only made one conference final appearance with the Clippers while battling over inefficiency in the bubble, and declined. He hasn't even proven since proven his production since you could say with his last season on the Thunder when he was the Defensive Player of the Year conversation. And this is while Klay Thompson's after just getting cut. Oh yeah, Chris Paul also got cut after that trade over for Jordan Poole. So not even a long-term contention investment if you were going to overpay over the second half of the season, another season for a damn near 40-year-old point guard. So now Chris Paul got signed to the San Antonio Spurs. At least seeing pick and rolls with Wembanyama and Chris Paul would be fun. While Thompson is getting heavily pursued for his catch and shoot abilities, hopefully they can spur back with the Mavericks, Clippers, or the Lakers, or the 76ers. That could be a favored team if they get enough depth. Or the Mavericks that just lost one of their best playmaking forwards that's great off the lob, like Derrick Jones Jr. I'm shocked the Magic weren't on the list. I understand they're signed for some veteran depth on the floor. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope got paid, even though he's like 32, for like $66 million for 3 years to perennial catch and shoot. I love when a plan doesn't come together, because in the same season, the Knicks sacrificed so many first-round freaking picks just to bring over a perennial conference final choking series away with Mikal Bridges. That's only thing is that he plays a blend. He has a lot of mileage on him. He's a decent defensive wing catch and shooter that can create his own shot. And he has extensive consistency, knowing that he has a huge streak of playing games. So Thibodeau will run the shit out of him like he's Robert Covington. Honestly, anybody pushing over to the essence that I love the DiVincenzo signing because it's a player that doesn't care if he starts or bench. He's very efficient over on the three. Who doesn't want a consistent shooter from Golden State that plays over in the secondary role, that's efficient, always gets along with teammates? And now we have Mikal Bridges. That's just an overpriced rate. People are thinking that $50 million is an overpay. Well, so what are we going to call Mikal Bridges if he doesn't even make an all-star squad? Also, we had more sign-in trades. Knowing the plethora of guards we had like 3 trades around June 28th that had Tim Hardaway Jr. I'm with you. I'm with you, Mavs fans. As a Knicks fan, I celebrate this with you guys. I'm gonna pour one out, but I'm thirsty. Tim Hardaway Jr. got traded to Detroit. He got traded to Detroit for 3 first-round picks for the 2025 to 2028, one by Toronto for Quentin Grimes. Now, Quentin Grimes, when he got traded away from New York for Bojan Bogdanovic and Alec Burke, his efficiency kind of went down. I think he dropped like 30-something points. Hopefully, where he can create his own, he can be a perennial catch and shoot playmaking forward. He has issues whenever creating his own shot or attacking around the backdoor cuts. Like, there's minimal problems that he could develop into. I mean, hell, Luka Doncic made Dante Exum to one of the better catch and shoot secondary bench players in the NBA at some point. Over Denver, Dante Exum was very efficient. December, my fault. Jalen McDaniels for 3 different players. Now, I haven't scouted Jalen McDaniels unlike Jaden McDaniels, but being worth this much of number of players, now I understand there's a surplus in guards, and knowing that Harrison Barnes is your only notable wing at the on the squad, I could understand. But come on, imagine just getting Scotty Barnes, De'Aaron Fox, and Domantas Sabonis. That would be an insane squad. But Davion Mitchell has been underperforming. They kind of got the same thing with an undersized defensive-minded guard that can play off the secondary unit. Davion Mitchell was supposed to be that that new glove on the Mavs, on the Kings defense that can play over the perimeter and try to scrap the ball away and get for fast breaks. Vozakovic also got traded with Jamal Sheed and a second-round pick for hopefully a long-term investment at the wing position for the Sacramento Kings, while possibly cheapest Chips trade that was one of the biggest. Now, we know DeJounte Murray was in the conversations as well as Trae Young to break up the backcourt unit, knowing that you guys were perennial play-in fodder with a lack of depth and at the third coach. Also, JB Biggerstaff went to the Detroit Pistons after Monty Williams got 0 of 28, and people saying that was a terrible firing. We know he was just getting that for the bag until he goes play for a real contending team. Larry Nance Jr., 2 first-round picks, Dyson Daniels, that's a great scoring guard, and E.J. Liddell for DeJounte Murray. Now, you wish I was making this up. No, I'm not. I hope this isn't a bargaining chip to keep Zion Williamson still in the New Orleans Pelicans franchise. Because if that is the saddest thing I've ever seen. Just for DeJounte Murray, when you could have gotten more, or at least you could have got perennial more trading factor if you traded for, I don't know, Miami Heat, the Los Angeles Lakers that's been in conversation over from last season, or the Los Angeles Clippers. And McCollum, I think you got to extend come next season. That's going to be a surplus just to be a perennial first-round exit. So now it's DeJounte, McCollum, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, and until they find the replacement, it's Yasib Messi, because Giannis Valanciunas is a free agent. It could be Cody Zeller, because he is one of the more notable starting centers over the past decade that just somehow still gets a contract for the NBA. While they still have Matt Ryan, that was a former Laker, Jordan Hawkins, that showed some promise, while Herbert Jones, that was showing very good promise, as well as Trey Murphy. They have good young depth, just not a good enough lineup when it comes to, on paper, just being a fun playoff contender. Knowing Zion Williamson's, I guess you could say his market value has kind of been on the decline for the past few seasons, knowing his health, his injuries, his controversies. Anybody still believing that, even though he had a pretty good season, even though he didn't make the All-Star team, he averaged around like 20-something points. Was very efficient around the lob attempt, and if it wasn't for his injury around the play-in tournament, he could have put up at least a good 6-game series against the Oklahoma City Thunder before he get eliminated. So you could have at least got something out of his mileage. While DeJounte Murray is 27 years old, you got to pay him till he's 32 off a cap hit of $28 million. Come from playing with LeBron to playing with freaking Fat Albert. Playing with Zion Williamson. This is after an 81 game. This was coming out of a 78 game series where he started a majority, and he did have some notable game winners. But his inefficiency from shooting from behind the arc, while he has to press up and play with one of the best assistant guards in the NBA, at Trae Young, while averaging career season 22.5 points per game, 6.4 assists a game, while 1.4 steals. He's still good at pickpocketing, good off transition. He's one of the better shooters at his position. But I just don't feel like this is going to be beneficial for both parties at this point. Also, you guys know Zion Williamson is still not going anywhere? I mean, Zach LaVine. Yes, Zach LaVine had a career season, still not going anywhere. Interesting. They're trying to strap in a first-round pick, a deal, a buy one get everything free, Nike a gift card, and a Red Lobster coupon for all the cheddar biscuits you can get before they all close down, and a Starbucks gift card for you and your side piece. Like, come on. They can't even give this guy away. No disrespect to Zach LaVine. Exceptional shooting guard with high volume efficiency. But we all know that's empty calories when you're playing for the Chicago Bulls, and it doesn't still add over to a winning season when they tried to put DeMar DeRozan and Nikola Vucevic and think that you guys weren't going to go higher than a freaking 5th seed in the Chicago Bulls. There was one part over the season when they had Lonzo Ball that they were one of the hottest teams in the Eastern Conference, but you probably thought they were going to be a first round exit anyway. Now Lonzo Ball is injured. He's going to be recently recovering, while Josh Giddey got traded, so they lost one of their best defensive guards out of Alex Caruso. That's always been one of the best defensive guards that won an NBA title with the Chicago Bulls. DeMar DeRozan still extended, while Nikola Vucevic could be better off in a better contending team that needs a 5, like possibly the New Orleans Pelicans. They just are probably not going to re-sign over Giannis Valanciunas. So Chicago needs to know what in the hell they're thinking about when it comes to their off-season moves. And knowing some franchises are just throwing money to the firing pit, it wouldn't be a surprise to me if the Knicks make us not the Knicks, but either the Nets, the Clippers, that are desperate after losing one of the best a declining wing, to probably transition Zach LaVine to push over to LA for a contending team in the West Coast, or the Memphis Grizzlies. That would actually be pretty fun, because I think they've been pretty empty at the 2-guard position for way too long after losing. Oh wait, I think Dillon Brooks is a wing. So they can transition Marcus Smart as a 6-man, Desmond Bane over in the wing with Zach LaVine, Zach Edey, and Jaren Jackson Jr. So you get and I don't even know if they're still going to stick with Derrick Rose. I think they've been the franchise to not be that vocal in the off season. No, John Morant's just going to be coming back. Marcus Smart is aging over at the 2-guard spot. He's like 30. Where he could push more of a perennial veteran role at the second unit to help with Scottie Pippen Jr., Zaire Williams, John Kocher, and some guys were very exciting to watch, like Jake Livera, Aldama, or G.G. Jackson. That was insane from South Carolina. Had a good season. Was very fun to watch while John Morant was injured. And they lost a lot of their primary pieces over the season that wouldn't show up until later, because Jaren Jackson Jr. was out for quite a while. Desmond Bane, John Morant was injured again. Marcus Smart was injured. And what was the vocab I kept using? Injured. And Zach Edey was one of the more promising prospects that, even though his play style doesn't really scream exciting for the 5 position of the modern era, was one of the most successful college athletes, college basketball athletes over the past 20 years. That means something when you're dominating your position over in the collegiate level for the past 2 seasons. Trying to prove something for yourself that you can evolve over your game. And being 7'4" could be the towering factor to push over to that 5, so we could have Jaren stretch the floor because we know he's a good all-around perimeter defender. To push over as a great defensive unit to bring back that grit and grind era that the Memphis Grizzlies need to push over, so Ja Morant could really evolve over his scoring. And Zach LaVine as well, so they actually have some more offensive depth to score more, especially in the Western Conference. So Zach LaVine to the Memphis Grizzlies don't sound like the most attractive trade, but more plausible and more bang for your buck for the Chicago Bulls if they're trying to get anywhere, especially knowing how much they don't want to see with Zach LaVine's contract. But that's been like over 72 hours of the NBA free agency, just by my perspective. There's been more longer videos I've done recorded in a long time. So like, comment, and subscribe here on the channel. Thanks for you guys taking the time out of your day to watch this. That's it for the DST show. I'm going to take a Tylenol.